This new device, made by a company called Autel Robotics, could be the first compact drone that I have found to date that could actually replace DJI as my #1 go-to drone. Stick around and I'll tell you why. Now look at this kit. Now this is a box built for my environment. Rugged, secure, double safety latches, waterproof, weatherproof. It's even got an air pressure equalization valve on it if you take it on an airplane. 2 safety latches. We open them up and crack it open, and inside is a beautiful thing. We've got the Autel Evo drone, 3 spare batteries, all the cables we need. Now bear in mind, this is a package that I had custom put together for me, so I've already put in everything that I want in there. And of course the rest was put together for me by Autel Robotics and my good friend Frank at Carolina Drones. Frank, awesome job. Can't thank you enough for this. This is a really, really good package. Everything you need to go out flying for a day, all the batteries, 2 chargers, spare propellers, and the remote control, which in itself is a thing of beauty. Wait till I show you some of this stuff. This drone, again, made by Autel Robotics, and Autel Robotics is nothing new. They've been around for a few years. Some of you might remember my misadventures with their previous version, which was the X-Star Premium. We had several of those, and the last one we nicknamed Garfield, because it was orange and black, lazy, stupid, never did what it was told, and it always just wandered off and did its own thing.
Now responding. Oh, no, it is now.
Oh, shoot. It's still there? Can you get the remote?
You get the key and bond it. I can.
I think, oh! Shit. And man, we went on so many hikes for literally hours trying to find that thing so we could bring it back and try it again. So you think enough room to fly through?
Yeah.
Are you gonna fly through it?
No. Where is it? It's at 250 feet. Well, it's still not coming down. It's at 260 feet. You guys looking? Somebody look up. We gotta find this drone.
It's coming home.
Is it still in the air?
Yep.
Where?
Over the shore, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Right where we took off. It's saying it's being forced to land unless I
Sure? Yeah. Where?
Someone get ready to grab it.
Don't catch it over top of my head. That's blink. Got it, got it, got it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, mwah. Slow down, Cap.
We definitely don't recommend trying this at home.
Never try. Oh my god, you guys almost launched me
shit.
off the fucking front of the boat.
I remember the last time we just didn't trust it anymore. We actually test flew it with a tether, so we locked it to the ground on a line so that it couldn't fly away. Just for safety, we're gonna tether it down. We brought a little, like a dog leash we're gonna tie onto the landing gear. Just so if it does try and do anything unexpected, it can't go anywhere. So. Left, right. Left, right, forward, reverse. Oh, it's done. Nice job.
If it is working, the last thing you want it to do is get caught and yanked back down.
All right, we're working. Woohoo! X-Star is back, not grounded.
We're letting him off his leash?
X-Star is ungrounded. So when Frank came to me this time and said, hey, Autel's got a new drone, I want you to have a look at it. I was like, thanks, but no. But anyway, he said, no, it's really good. You should have a look at this one. I think you're gonna like it. So I said, okay, I'll have a look. So send me one down. So he did, and I must admit, the first time I flew it, I was like, no. That's pretty much what I expected. We didn't have very good results, but we figured out there was a couple problems with the software, and I talked to Autel about it, told them what I was experiencing, and they actually said, yes, well, we've had some of our other testers have reported the same thing. We're working on it. So give us a week, and we think we'll have something for you. And believe it or not, they did. Within a week, they come back, so we did the second test. So I'm going to show you both tests, you know, just to show you what the difference was and the evolution of how this product has evolved even since I've had it. Because it's amazing that this is a company you can actually talk to. You can call up, talk to a technician, ask them a question, find out what the status is, what the problem is, you know, and they will help you solve the issue. And they have been excellent about that. And that is something you can't do with many companies, especially many of the drone companies. They're just too big. But Autel, thumbs up to you guys. Thank you very much for the service and the help. And I think you guys are really going to like what I'm going to show you as far as the evolution of the tests and how the final product is compared to when we started. So let's get started. Let's take it outside and take her for a spin. All right, so here we are. We've got our trusty Evo in the case. We're going to give it our first test run. Let's take it out of the case, just get it set up. And unfold the arms. Okay. Unfold the controller. I'm going to use my iPhone, so I brought along an iPhone cable, because that's the one thing it didn't come with was an actual iPhone cable. It comes with ones for Android, but not iPhone. So that's something you want to think about, Autel. We have some iPhone users out here also. Not all of us are Android. Okay, so get that in and plug it in. Okay, let's power up the remote, power up the drone, and with these ones it's basically just a press and hold for about 3 to 4 seconds till all the lights illuminate, and on it goes. Okay, it's connecting. Says ready to go here. Now it's in GPS mode, so we're good to go. We got 100% battery, 100% on the controller as well. And you can see we got our app is lit up here as well. We can switch over to the map, see where we are. You can see where we are in the Spanish waters area here on the Google Earth chart. And we'll zoom in and switch back to the active view. And there she goes. Okay, so it comes up to about 6 feet and just goes into an auto hold mode right there. And you can see it's fighting against the wind. We've got a good 15 to 18 knots of wind here right now. And it's doing a good job holding against it. It's using the pattern underneath it actually to lock onto the ground. It's still showing me an alarm here that we got 4.3 to 4.4 meters ahead of it. There's an obstruction, so it's sensing this bush right there. Let's see, we'll turn it. Take it up a little bit. And we'll turn it just to look down towards us a little bit. Yeah, you can see it's working to hold itself in the gust, but it's doing a relatively good job. Like I said, there's a lot of wind here right now. Oh, of course it stops.
It always does that.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a boat coming in doing a little turnaround, so I'm going to go out and do a little buzz around them. We're going to trust that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. Yeah, right away I can tell it's very touchy on the yaw. So yes, this is where I became instantly aware that there was definitely a problem. At first I thought it was just oversensitive yaw on the controls, and we could tune it out with some exponential settings. But even then I realized it was just too jittery, and turns out what the problem was is the software for the gimbal that tracks the reactions to the drone. They were out of sync somehow, and whenever the drone would move, which of course it's doing a lot right now because it's flying in 15 to 18 knots of wind. So every time the drone reacts to the wind, the gimbal reacts to the drone, and it was greatly accentuated every time you were trying to yaw the drone. So again, I brought this up with Autel directly. They told me they were working on it, and within a week they sent me new beta firmware to test and see if it eradicated the problem. So, for the second test, we're gonna hop in Sophisticated Lady and take her to a remote island about 15 miles from where we are now called Klein Curacao. A beautiful island just off the southeast point of Curacao that's lined with white sand beaches and turquoise waters to die for. This has become a very popular tourist destination for day sails, and the locals like to go out here for weekends. So we've been out here a few times, and it can be a bit tricky to get to in the wrong weather, but it's definitely worth the trip. Back at it. We've got our Autel Evo ready to go. Second trials. Everything in the bag is ready to go. We've got the new experimental beta software 1.3.3. So this is what we've been waiting for. It's going to hopefully correct that issue that we had with the yaw in the last video that we tried. So if you remember, we kept shooting and trying to do circles, and it kept going left, right, left, right, left, right. So this new software is supposed to hopefully correct that. But now we are going to take it up for our second test, and we're going to try it here on Klein Curacao. As you can see, we got a beautiful day, some great color in the water, sunny skies. The wind is down to, I'd say, about 15, maybe 18 knots maximum. Okay, so we've got the app hooked up here. Got my iPhone connected. As you can see, it's in GPS mode, says ready to go. I've got a good display on the iPhone. All right, I'm going to move it out here. And Kuko's got his Mavic Pro out here. So I'm going to get him to kind of chase me and follow me around a little bit and get some of the same shots. Okay, it started recording. We got a bit of a tailwind, but I'm going to take it off facing us and then just kind of back out. So we'll fire it up. And up she goes. Wow, that's a nice steady takeoff. I like that. Yeah, it stayed right over the box even with the tailwind, so that's good. I'm going to take her back and up a little bit. Bring the gimbal back down. There we are. Alright, firmware seems good so far. That's good and steady. Look at that. That's rock solid. She's not going anywhere. Alright, I'm going to take her
right behind you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna zoom out behind you or anything. I'm gonna take her a little bit down the beach and just go for a little flight around the area. Actually, we'll get a little picture of Kuko here. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, you see that? It set off the radar alarm. That's good. So as we head out over the water here, there's a couple things noteworthy that I'd like to point out. Firstly, this footage is raw straight out of the camera. There is no color processing, no stabilization, nothing. And just look at the natural, beautiful tones of the water and the sky. And keep in mind also that this was an insanely bright day, and I'm not running any filters on the lens at all. Now as we approach these boats, let's just stop the footage for a moment because this is a prime example of the dynamic range capabilities of this new camera. First thing to notice is all of these boats are pure white and in direct sunlight, and that's one of the things that's most difficult for any camera to expose properly without losing all the detail in the boat itself. But even as we zoom in to 200%, you'll notice right away that all the detail is perfectly preserved. The hatches, the frames, windows, everything is all there, no washout and no bleeding. As we head to this next boat, you'll see another difficult situation for dynamic range. A white hull with black sides, white lettering, and in direct sunlight. But here again, you can see all detail is perfectly preserved, even with the glare of the dinghy on the side of the boat. And then if we come around to this blue playmat on the water and zoom into 400%, if you look real close, you can actually see ripples on the water. Now the one thing I will have to admit to, you'll also notice the horizon is off by about 3 degrees. And this was my fault because they did tell me after installing the update firmware to recalibrate the gimbal, and I forgot. Sorry guys, but I'll get it right for the next test. And as you can see, the problem we had with gimbal jitter is now gone. This thing is working perfectly, and I'm flying it completely manually. I don't use any autonomous settings or circle me mode or anything like that, because I want to know exactly how it's responding to my commands. So that was a pretty good first test. Let's take it out for something a little more dramatic. There's a lighthouse right in the middle of this island. That'd be a great thing to do a rotation around, so let's go see how it does. Not bad at all, especially considering my flight skills aren't perfect right here, and it's flying with a 15 to 18 knot tailwind. And again, as the sun comes around, check out the dynamic range. Everything is near perfect, no blowouts, nothing, even though the sun is almost straight into the lens. Word has it, Klein Curacao has been a bit of a hazard to navigation over the years, and there's a couple of wrecks over on the windward coast. So, while we're here, might as well go have a look. just started getting battery warnings as I was out flying around the wreck there, and started heading back, and it didn't want to move for some reason. It just sat there at about 50 feet and didn't move, and then all of a sudden it started to move again later, but then it only got, you know, just past the lighthouse, as you can see, descending, as we'll see probably on the footage that's on the drone, and then it just landed right here, and that was the end of it. So luckily no damage. It just did a soft touchdown. Sitting here, it's a little warm sitting in the sun. Today's a very hot day, but yeah, it's showing 0% battery, aircraft battery critically low. So it just reconnected as we were walking up here, so it's still on, hasn't shut down yet, but it didn't have enough power left to fly. So anyway, we'll take that back, and I think the flight went well. I think the video is going to look great, but I do have to question what happened with the battery there at the end, so we're going to do a little investigating into that before we try it again. So that'll be next. So I think you can see why I'm becoming fairly enamored with this new drone. This little device is amazing, and I think you have to agree that footage at the island was actually really nice. It was very smooth, stable, razor sharp, just beautiful footage. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have always loved and will continue to love my Mavic Pro. This was always my first and will continue to be. But technologies evolve, cameras evolve, and where these are a very similar form factor, they're very close in size and shape, the same type of folding drone, but when you look at the difference in camera quality, this one with its Sony sensor, it is amazing considering the size of the camera, and the only thing better than this one for actual optical quality and actual footage is going to be the Phantom 4 Pro. The Phantom's always going to be the go-to drone, especially if I'm launching and retrieving from the boat. It really comes in handy to have these to grab onto, that is for sure. The little drones are great, but because they're compact, of course, there's not a lot to grab onto when you need to retrieve it, and you got to watch out because those propellers are really close. So that's always going to be one thing not in their favor, but that's a small price to pay. And we're talking about drones that, you know, these two drones are in the $1,000 or less category. But for that $1,000, I mean, they're both very stable. They've both got image sensors for optical collision avoidance forward. This one has forward, this one has forward, reverse, and on the downside as well. But the camera is where the difference is on the Evo, and this thing films at 60 frames a second in 4K, and it has a 100 megabit data stream that you can record even in H.265, which is the new compression format. Now, that is very dense compression, and if you're looking for ultimate detail in your video, that's what you want to use. But I will tell you, you do need to have a very high-end computer, very recent and powerful, if you're going to edit 265, because it takes a lot of power, or you'll be sitting there waiting for a long time on all of your renders. Now, as far as flight time between the two, well, the Mavic Pro, it's always been designated as around 27 minutes, somewhere around there, maybe 28, and this one is no different. They say 30, but I probably think it's 28, 29, somewhere around there. But these batteries have an automatic discharge after they've been sitting for 6 days in storage. So you can push the button at the back and it'll tell you, you know, if it's fully charged or not. If there's any lights blinking, then you know it needs a charge. Now, I know I checked it before I took the drone out that day, and it had the battery already on it, but I didn't really check right before flight. But when I came home that night and recharged the dead battery, I checked all the other ones and they were all flashing. They were down to 75%, which means that it had gone into auto discharge just before we took it out to the field for the flight. So My fault for not checking, but yeah, luckily it didn't have any damage. There was nothing lost, you know, it just landed in the middle of the island and we went and got it. So touch wood, we got lucky with that one. Now I will say one of the other differences with this drone is in the controller. This controller is a thing of beauty. I mean, they have done such a good job with this controller. It's a very small form factor. Again, it's very similar to the one for the Mavic, but they've designed it in such an ergonomic way. It is just so comfortable in your hand. You flip these out and you can just see they are meant to just sit very comfortably in the palm of your hand, and your fingers just wrap around. So when you're holding it, it's very natural to just sit there like this. You don't have your camera, or sorry, you don't have your phone in the way down here. That was one thing I did not like about the Mavic remote, is that the phone is down here. So you have to hold the remote up here because you're looking down here. I prefer it above like the rest of the controllers do. Even the Phantom has it above. So you can hold it in a natural position and then set the camera, or sorry, set the phone angle where you want it. This one, when you turn this guy on, it has a full color monitor installed right in the controller. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. The resolution is so high. Let me turn the drone on. I've got to show you. The remote is saying connecting, as you can see. Fly with caution, obviously, because it's not it hasn't done its GPS setup or anything yet. And now ready to go with Starpoint. So there is one feature on this that you don't have on any other drone, and that this can be used with the push of one button as your monitor for the drone. You don't need to have a smartphone with this drone. That is a cool feature. If you're going to use this drone as a run and gun type camera and you want to just get a really quick shot, you can actually have this thing out of the case, set up and running and in the air within maybe 15 seconds, because you don't have to hook up any wires, you don't have to open an app, you don't have to connect anything and make sure everything's set up. It's just ready to go, and you've got a high brightness, high resolution display right in the controller. Thumbs up on that one, Autel. That's very, very nice. You know, I will still use my high brightness display or my iPhone in normal situations because I like the bigger screen, but if you're just looking for that quick shot, there it is, ready to go. Simple as that. And the fact that you can film 4K in 60 frames a second, that's gold to me, because I film everything in 60 frames a second whenever possible. That's what I always film with the Phantom, because it delivers the smoothest, most steady footage. If you want to slow it down to 50% in post-processing, you can. So for me, this is definitely my new go-to camera in place of the Mavic Pro, but there are still certain instances when I will use the Phantom. Of course, when it's being used on the boat, that's going to be a main factor right there, is hand launching and retrieving. But other than that, that's my initial reviews on this one, and I'm very impressed with it. So you're definitely going to see a lot more footage coming out of SSL with being shot from the Evo. If you are interested in drones, I can't recommend my friend Frank enough at Carolina Drones. He's a huge knowledge base of all the different drones available, so if you have questions about one or the other, you can ask him and he'll give you an idea which one you should be looking at for your exact application. So if you're talking to Frank, be sure and tell him Captain Rick said hi. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Be sure and tune in for next episode. I got lots more cool stuff coming for you guys on Tech Time, so stay tuned. Until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you out there.